Welcome everybody to What's Up Bolts. I'm Fernando Ramirez, that sunglass donning, hat wearing, son of a gun, whistle blowing. Well, he doesn't have one today, but that is Dan and Daygo. We are here. Bye week has come and gone. No more rest, Dan. No more
Wave
hanging
at it.
out.
It's gone.
Yep, it is now time to preview Chargers versus Cowboys Monday Night Football. I think that is the first, if I'm not mistaken, is the first primetime game for the Chargers this season. They have many of them, so but this one's the first one. Should be an interesting one. I mean, right off the bat, Kellen Moore versus Mike McCarthy, Justin Herbert versus Dak Prescott. No, it definitely will be it's going to be an interesting matchup, especially with all the factors that you talk about. The Charger 2-2. Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be an interesting one. We do have a special guest. We will have Tyler Dragon on from the USA Today.
Shout out.
He will be previewing the Cowboys and Chargers matchup with me. We'll get to that in a little bit, but obviously, the first bit of news, obviously, that the Chargers have that Justin Herbert will be wearing a glove moving forward. I was at practice on Tuesday, and he was wearing a glove, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But the funniest part, Dan, was the fact that the comments, I mean, obviously you could see here the glove that he's wearing. So he has a glove on it, and then he has like two fingers kind of taped, so he's basically doing that.
Doing the Kobe. You remember that?
Yeah, exactly. In a sense. The funniest part though is the comments. One gloved Herbo will cause pregnancies.
Oh my god.
And then rumor is only one other person in the history of the world has pulled this off this feat, and it's Michael Jackson with the glove. Then somebody goes, swagger level is over 9,000. Obviously, that's I
like this one. Shout out to Ludwin.
Yeah, that's a Vegeta. That's a Vegeta tweet. It's over 9,000.
Who cares about Dragon Ball? Get to the next one, Frau.
Dragon Ball Z. Ludwin, he is literally Anakin Skywalker.
Shut up, dude.
Oh no, hold on. Look, there's more.
They even put the picture.
They put a picture of Anakin Skywalker with the robotic arm. But yeah, the comments are what had me dying. I mean, glove Herbert, and then Herbo gonna rock that RG3 drip.
Oh god.
Well, he does have the sleeve.
I would hope not.
Dan.
Oh, that one's glorious. So you're telling me the villain arc is happening right now?
He just needs an advocate.
If you are on audio and you're a Star Wars fan, you have to get to YouTube to see this villain arc happening right now. That is freaking awesome. Too bad you can't bring this up on a PowerPoint in a press conference. That would be hilarious.
Anakin lost his hand and only came back stronger. He is him. Let's go dark side.
Exactly.
The chosen one.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. This by far is the comment that takes them all, dude.
This is hilarious.
In the deep dive with all the haircuts.
This is such a great picture though. This is amazing.
Glorious. You know what would have made it better if he wasn't smiling in the last one? That would have made it even better.
Oh, because he has basically the same
hairstyle. Yeah.
No, and the same here he's smiling. They're not smiling, and here obviously he is, but he's not. So no, some of these comments are just
that's hilarious. The internet stays undefeated.
Oh, here's Anakin.
Oh yeah, he is the chosen one, dude. He's gonna bring balance back. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I mean, the way that
we're getting a little deep dive in here.
Exactly.
I love when I see things that are interesting on Twitter. I love going through the comments.
It's so funny to see. But now, Dan, let's hear from Justin Herbert and see what he has to say about the hand and if it's giving him any trouble or anything like that. Let's go see what he had to say.
Do you feel like you'll be having any kind of restrictions in terms of can you carry the ball in your left hand? Would you anticipate any kind of adjustments you're going to have to make?
I don't think so. I think, the game 2 weeks ago, we were able to kind of get back into it. And whether I was running the ball or whether I was throwing the ball, I felt pretty comfortable out there. And, I thought the training staff did a great job preparing us and taking care of us. So I felt safe going back out there.
So Monday night, if you have to take off running, I mean, is it going to be in the back of your mind to kind of protect your hand, or do you think you'll be able to just kind of?
I think there's so much going on during the game that you're probably not going to be worrying about it too much. I think you're just going to be worrying about not getting tackled or not taking those hits. So whether it is a scramble, it's about being safe, getting down, and that's in the back of your mind.
I think you recognize that voice, right?
Of course I do. That's the GOAT, Sir Jeffrey Miller, one of the GOATs. Shout out to you, Sir Jeffrey. Absolute freaking legend. Man, but what a bummer, though, honestly. Last year, he has the rib stuff. This year, he has the hand stuff. But it just goes to show you how much of a dog this guy is. Like, he refuses to come off the field no matter what. And, you got to applaud it. He's a dog, dude. He's got the heart of a champion. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, no, he's unique. I mean, to take that hit last year, I mean, I remember in the Jacksonville game, we were watching the warm-ups and it looked like it was going to be Chase Daniel to start. And Justin comes out, he warms up. He didn't look all that comfortable, but then he ends up playing. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, so he's going to gut it out. So, no, the dude is he's
got nothing guts, dude.
The thing that people think, though, is because of his demeanor, he's quiet, he's laid back. Maybe he's not as fired up. Dude is fired up. Like, people need to, if people can get there early enough and, like, kind of watch pregame warm-ups and then watch, if you have a camera on Justin the way people have it on Taylor Swift, you would see how fired up Justin gets. Like, Justin, like, I sometimes just sit there and just watch him, and he really does get fired. And people think, oh, he doesn't talk or anything to put. No, I've seen him draw a little bit. So yeah, no, he is that. Like,
how much
is that guy?
How much are you willing to bet? This is off topic. We're gonna get a tight end show, and guess who's gonna be the first damn tight end on there, like the quarterback show? It's gonna be Travis Kelce. And they're going to bring in all these Swifties to Netflix and what's it called? And now into the NFL and stuff like that, because they're going to see Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce all together. You know what? Honestly, maybe they took a page out of F1 doing that show, trying to bring more fans in. I'm sure F1 gained a lot more fans probably after the Drive to Survive. But anyway, nice little marketing tactic, I guess, NFL.
Yeah, no, there's something.
Tight ends. Oh my God, I would vomit. Who
was the one that I sent you that she said, I can't remember the chick's name, but the actress or whatever that was like, oh, maybe I want me a tight end or whatever.
Oh my God, it was like Dua Lipa or something.
Yeah, somebody like that. But
I was like, oh my God, dude, get out of here. That's the last thing we need. Can we just go back to football for now? Is that too much to ask?
I'm trying to. So obviously, this is gonna be a big game this weekend. A lot of factors going into it. Obviously we got the Justin Herbert stuff out of the way. It's prime time. You should expect a big game from him. This has to be the game though, where Quentin Johnson, Josh Palmer, they have to join in. But it's not just them. Like, everybody's like, oh, just them. No, like also Gerald Everett. If Donald Parham plays, and then the return of Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler should be playing in this game, full participant. He should be in this game. Dan, can you believe that they're the 5th best scoring team in the second half of games? That's without Austin Ekeler. So maybe they can improve that with Austin in there. The running backs have kind of been a little bit I don't want to say obsolete or whatever, but they haven't really put in what basically Austin did the first, like in that first
you
game.
Can notice the drop off is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's been a drop off. In that first game, 233 yards and 3 touchdowns by the Chargers. That's 233 yards and 3 touchdowns is insane. You had 16 carries for Ekeler, 117 yards. 16 carries for Joshua Kelly, 91 yards. Herbert added 17 yards and a touchdown as well. And there's been kind of a drop-off. But get this, Dan. In the 2 losses by the Cowboys, they have given up 222 yards and 2 touchdowns to the Cardinals. And last weekend to the 49ers, they gave up 170 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. So what's basically all of this saying? Run the dang ball. That's exactly what they need to do.
That's why we fired Kellen. He didn't run the damn football.
By the way, well, no, we'll get to that in a second. But I mean,
Jerry was thinking about that.
I'm correct in that, right? Like this has to be the game where they kind of get back to the running game.
They've needed to start doing that. I guess argued, and I can't remember if it was the Tennessee game or which one of those games, having Herbert throw for 40, 50 times to me is losing football in the end, because that'll help you now against these lower tier teams. But I still believe come playoff time, come real hard teams or tough teams, good teams, it's going to be hard to beat them like that. And yeah, like you said, if they gave up, how many yards did you say they gave up against the Cardinals? 200 yards rushing?
220.
220 yards rushing against the Cardinals.
Yeah. James Conner at 98. Joshua Dobbs had 55. Rondell Moore, a receiver, had 54.
There's no way. There's no way you're not able to put up some rushing numbers if the damn Cardinals can do it, who have looked pretty bad this whole season. But I think honestly,
they've been in games though.
Yeah, they've been in games. But I mean, they've still looked dysfunctional. You don't know about the whole Kyler Murray stuff. They had to bring it. Well, whatever. We're not talking about the Cardinals, but this has to be a game where you try and establish that. Like, I think you have to sort of feed these guys to get them reps, especially, Kelly's gotten a pretty solid amount of reps, but these other guys, you got to feed them a little more to see what they got, because there's no point in having them just sit on the bench to rot, and you're never going to find out in game if they got it or they don't. Because like we've always talked about, and I will believe this till the end, Austin Ekeler needs like another complimentary back. Like, I thought the running game was at its peak when it was Melvin Gordon and Austin Ekeler, because they give you 2 different looks defensively. One's going to give you the power, one's going to give you the razzle dazzle and some speed and quickness and everything else. And I think that's what they've been missing, honestly, since Melvin Gordon left. And I understand there's a lot of animosity because of the contract and stuff like that, but I still believe you got to run the football to win games. That's just my opinion. Call me old fashioned, I don't care. But yeah, this is really the game, because the other thing is, right, you'd hope they're watching the freaking 49er tape and the Cardinal tape real close, so that way they can try and get in similar run looks and run schemes. That way they can hopefully have as much success as those 2 teams did. Because the other thing they have to understand also is that Dallas is probably very pissed off that they got embarrassed on Sunday Night Football, because I think they lost by 30 or something like that. Like, it wasn't even close with the Niners. Dak was looking like Tua over there, throwing up punts and getting intercepted and stuff like that. So I think here are we already starting to get into the game and stuff like that? Because I have a little bit of a prediction right here. Kellen Moore has circled this game since.
Oh, before we get to that.
Okay. See, that's why you got to guide me. You got to guide me.
I know.
Where we're at.
But yeah, speaking of pissed off and everything, let's hear what Derwin James had to say about what he expects from the Cowboys this weekend.
How about them Cowboys?
How you doing?
Looking ahead to the matchup coming up, when you see Dallas give up 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, give up all the points, what vulnerabilities have you seen just watching some of the tape?
We got to come out and play. I mean, you can't look at the vulnerabilities. I'm pretty sure they're going to be pissed off about how they played,
Dog.
We just got to come out and play. We know we're going to get their best, and they're going to get our best too.
He's a dog, dude. He's a dog. You see, we read each other's mind. Shout out to Derwin James, dude. Shout out.
Derwin loves you.
I love him. That's my guy. I love that guy too.
Speaking of a guy that we love, obviously, is Tyler Dragon. Let's go to that interview now, and when we come back, we will break down a little bit more of the game. Kellen Moore versus Mike McCarthy, all that. So make sure you stay tuned. It is Monday Night Football time this week. Chargers, Cowboys. Who better to bring on than one of our compas, Tyler Dragon from the USA Today. Tyler, thank you so much for jumping on and making some time to preview this very interesting matchup where both teams kind of look like that spider meme where they kind of point at each other because of just some similarities. But how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I always enjoy coming on this show. Thanks for having me on today.
Tyler, we have to start off with it. Dante Whitner goes on and he talks about Dak Prescott, says he sucks. Coming into the season, he was an MVP favorite. It was the Cowboys' year, and all of a sudden it's starting to unravel. Trayvon Diggs goes down with that injury. They lose to the Cardinals. They get thrashed by the 49ers. Just for two-parter, is the narrative on Dak Prescott, do you feel like it's correct? Not what Dante Whitner says, but what everybody says, that he just can't get it done. He unravels at times. And then two, what do you make so far of these Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, so I don't put it all on Dak Prescott. When I look at the Dallas Cowboys offense, it seems like a very basic offense. They run basic routes, crossers, slants. They run, some curl routes. But other than that, there aren't many other routes that they run. They run very basic run plays with Tony Pollard. And defense are catching up to it. They don't really throw the deep ball that much. And so when Dak Prescott is back there, a lot of teams know what they're running. I was looking at one play against the San Francisco 49ers. Fred Warner even said in his podcast earlier this week that he knew what was coming. They were running crossing routes, and he just was in the middle of the field waiting. Crossing routes weren't open, and then he went and sacked Dak Prescott. So that you really can't put that on Dak Prescott. And then a lot of the receivers aren't getting open. Saw multiple videos and replays where the receivers aren't creating separation. So that's not Dak Prescott's fault. He's not running those routes. He's not calling those plays. And so I put the onus on the entire offense with their lack of scoring points in the red zone and with the turnovers. Now, some of Dak Prescott's turnovers, especially those 3 picks against the 49ers last week, those were on him. That one fly ball he pretty much had, that was a bad pass. He shouldn't have forced it. But when I look at the Cowboys, they're going to win games because of their defense. They have one of the best defenses in the National Football League. We all know what Micah Parsons can do. He's going to be a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate. They performed well on the defensive side of the football with every single game aside of the 49ers loss and maybe some plays here or there against the Arizona Cardinals, their loss as well. But, the Cowboys, they're kind of what I expected them to be. I expected their offense to be a little bit better, but they're one of those teams in the NFC where they're not at the top. They're like a step below. You got the 49ers, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, and then maybe the Seattle Seahawks, Detroit Lions, and the Dallas Cowboys in there. So just because a lot of people think they're America's team and they're the team that's the most popular team, I think a lot of people have these high expectations of the Cowboys, but they're really unrealistic. They're not a Super Bowl contending team. Are they a good team? Yes. But they're not one of those upper echelon teams, especially in the NFC.
Tyler, we were told in January that it was all on Kellen Moore. That's why they fired him, that he was too flashy, that he didn't like to run the ball, and that Mike McCarthy was going to turn this around, that he was going to get back to what he knew from the Packers, where it was him calling the plays. So what do you make of this Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy matchup this week?
Well, Kellen Moore has added some explosive plays and some creative plays to the Chargers offense. They are definitely hurt with the explosive plays without Mike Williams on the field, but I like some of the variations, some of the designed passing plays that they have. Keenan Allen has caught some passes down the field. So I do like that. Their running game has gotten tremendously better. I'll be interested to see how Austin Ekeler comes back from an ankle injury, to see how he runs the ball. He had over 100 yards in week 1. With the Cowboys, their offense took a step back. Mike McCarthy in my opinion, like I said before, he runs kind of a basic offense, and it seems a little bit outdated, and teams are having easier time matching up with the offense. So I do think he needs to add some more creativity to his offense, to the receivers' route trees. But the Cowboys, they need to know what their bread and butter was when they were contending in the NFC, and that's running the football. I think they got a little bit away from that. They still have one of the better offensive lines in football. Shoot, you have probably 2 Hall of Famers on that offensive line, in Tyron Smith and Zach Martin. So use them, run the football with Tony Pollard, and then use that to open up your passing game with the play action pass. So I do believe that Kellen Moore is a better play caller to this point because he's more versatile, more creative, and he creates more explosive plays with his play calling. But I will say this: sometimes Kellen Moore calls plays at the wrong time. I do believe some of the Chargers losses, the most notably the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins, sometimes he's calling these deep shots when maybe the Chargers should have thrown maybe these intermediate routes or short passes to create yards after the catch. And then sometimes he runs the football on second down when he shouldn't be running the football on second down to create a third and long situation. So there are a couple instances where I didn't like Kellen Moore's play calls, but overall, I do think he's a better play caller than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, no, I remember I've watched the Dan Patrick Show for years, and there was this guy from Shane Irving, one of the guys that would jump on a fan from Dallas, and he would say Kellen Moore is really good until like late in the fourth quarter. You see some questionable calls, and I didn't make anything of it. And then I started seeing the first few weeks, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's some of that. But what do you make of Tony Pollard's season? He had that one good game against Arizona, 122. I think he had a touchdown or two. But other than that, it kind of feels like it's kind of fluctuated. It's been up and down, no consistency. The last 2 games have been kind of bad. I mean, what do you make of it? Do you feel like it is the fact that they don't have Zeke there anymore, and it's not a 2-back system the way it was for the last few years, or what do you make of it?
I do believe Tony Pollard is better suited for a 2-back system. This is his first year as the lead dog, number 1 back, unequivocally. I do believe he's having a decent season. Cowboys are 10th in the NFL in rushing going into week 6. They average over 120 yards per game. But, they're missing the element of having that downhill runner in between the tackles, a guy that, can run people over like Ezekiel Elliott can. And that's part of the reason why they struggle in the red zone so much. They don't have that guy that can get those tough 2-3 yards, gotta have it yards on third down or maybe even second and short. So Tony Pollard, he's not that type of running back. He likes to run outside the tackles or check down passes. So he's having a decent season, but I do think the Cowboys are missing that element of a downhill running back.
Tyler, the last few days, I mean, I've always loved this when an old head, an old player, players that played years ago chirp at some of the new age. You saw it on Thursday night with Steve Smith and Jerry Jeudy. Well, Richard Sherman came out, I think it was on Undisputed or on his podcast, I can't remember which one, and he called CeeDee Lamb overrated. He said he's not a number 1 receiver. You know how this jawing goes back and forth. What did you make of that? And what are your thoughts on CeeDee?
It's interesting. I had this conversation on my podcast. It's a football podcast on USA Today, and
plug it.
Yeah, me and my co-host Safadine have a podcast that's you can download on all podcast networks. But to get back on this podcast, CeeDee Lamb, to me, he's upper echelon number 2 receiver. He's, in my opinion, he's not a legit star number 1. And I say that because his best years to me is when he had Amari Cooper on the outside. That was the guy who could command the top cornerback on the opposing team. And the defense is really keyed in on him. CeeDee Lamb, he's not a player that you say, don't let him beat me. He can win this game for me. And those are legit number 1 wide receivers that can have versatile route tree, can line them up anywhere, and they can go out and beat your number 1 cornerback when you got to have it. CeeDee Lamb can do that occasionally, but he can't do that most of the time, which you need from a number 1 wide receiver. And the Cowboys need him to be that. They are traded away Amari Cooper for that reason, but it's turning out to be a bad trade on the Cowboys' part because they miss Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a better route runner than CeeDee Lamb. He has surer hands than CeeDee Lamb, and he's just a better overall player to this point. Now, can CeeDee Lamb still develop into that surefire X number 1 wide receiver? Yes, but at this point, he's not that. And I agree with Richard Sherman. I wouldn't go that far, though, because I do think he is top flight number 2, borderline number 1. But he's not that number 1 that the Cowboys desperately need, and they've had in recent years.
How do you see this game? I mean, both teams are kind of the Charger coming off their bye. Guys have rested. I know I'm not fooled by the long injury report because a lot of them full. Looks like a lot of guys they're gonna get a lot of guys back. The Joey Bosa thing, I think it's the same thing that we've seen for weeks where Joey has an injury. He doesn't practice the first day, maybe the second day, but the third day he does, and then he plays on Sunday or on Monday, I guess, in this sense. But it seems like the Chargers are going to get some guys back. The Cowboys might be without Van Der Esch. They could have some other. But most of their guys, I think, will be a go. But what do you see from this game?
Yeah, so I believe Leighton Van Der Esch is going to be placed on IR. I do not believe he's going to be playing this game. And that's a big loss for the Cowboys in the middle of the field. And I've heard some talk that they might have Micah Parsons playing some inside linebacker, which is a huge blow for the Cowboys because he's better on the edge, and that will favor the Chargers. Tremendous deal. The bye week came at the right time for the Chargers, though, because they've had a slew of injuries to begin the season. And I was at practice on Thursday, and a lot of those guys were back on the field, like a Derwin James, like a Austin Ekeler. Joey Bosa was working off on the side, but based on what I've seen from him and the way he was moving, I would be surprised if he did not play on Monday night. So I do believe that the injuries are not going to have a too big of a factor for the Chargers since they did have a bye. I think they're going to have a little bit bigger factor for the Cowboys because of that Leighton Van Der Esch injury. Now, one thing to monitor until Monday night is Justin Herbert's injured left finger. He did have a glove on the finger, and then he has some tape over it. And I do believe that he's going to take snaps under center. However, he hasn't taken snaps under center yet, and that's what he said on Thursday. But he was optimistic, saying that he wasn't going to have any limitations because of that injured finger. But it does raise your eyebrows a little bit that he hasn't taken snaps under center yet. So it's going to be interesting to see practice is leading up until Monday night if he's able to do that, because if he's not, then he's going to have to go out in pistol formation or shotgun formation every single play on Monday night, and that kind of limits your offensive attack. But I don't think it's going to get to that point, and he seems optimistic, but we still have to see how the week plays out leading up to Monday night.
Tyler, before I let you go, I wanted to show you this real quick. I took a picture of him on Tuesday with that glove on, and look at what the top comment was. He literally is Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Fans are having so much. Let me show you another. Fans are having so much fun with this. Like one guy even put this picture up. He's like, and he really does look like him.
He low key does. I do have to admit that.
And
Wow,
so
I just now noticed that.
some fan, I can't remember where's the this guy. Anakin lost his hand and only became back stronger. So fans are having a lot of fun with this Justin Herbert glove thing, but it's been so on one AFC West team you have Taylor Swift taking all the hot commodities, and on the Chargers you have Justin Herbert with the glove, and you have Sean Payton's mistakes, and you have just the AFC West is full of characters there. But Tyler, how do you see this one going on Monday?
So I have the Chargers winning in a close one, but I something tells me that the Cowboys, they're an interesting team. Now, they haven't lost 2 back-to-back games since like 2020, I believe, or 2021. So there is something to that. The Cowboys don't lose back-to-back games. However, I think the bye week is going to favor the Chargers in this one. So I have them winning 27-24 and improving to 3-2 before they play the Chiefs. And we all know that's going to be a big game in AFC West.
And you know what's funny? Keenan told us on Tuesday, he's like, we're expecting their best hit. Like they're going to be pissed off. They're not going to be happy after being embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. He's like, we're expecting their best hit. And Khalil Mack said the exact same thing. So yeah, expect the unexpected on Monday night. It's going to be 2 teams on Monday Night Football. It's going to be interesting to see what all comes of it. But Tyler, thank you so much for jumping on. Let everybody know where they can find you. You have one of the best Twitter handles out there. I love it. Go ahead and tell the folks where to find you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's at the Tyler Dragon. You can follow me on Twitter and get all my latest commentary, whether it's on USA Today or just me just talking all types of sports, especially football.
Appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
Dan, obviously going up against Micah Parsons. Thank you to Tyler Dragon for jumping on with us. But awesome, we all know, I mean, I asked Keenan about it, and he goes, I think he's the second fastest player in the NFL behind Tyreek Hill. He's got that dog in him, and I think that's a new phrase in the NFL, that dog. But everybody knows how dangerous Micah Parsons is. Everybody knows exactly what he does. We all know that Micah's going to be all over that field. We should be talking as well about DeMarcus Lawrence. I know he's made a lot of money. I know he hasn't really lived up to that contract, but he's still dangerous. He's one of those dangerous players. And Brandon Staley spoke about him and DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and the kind of duo that they are.
We got facing this edge rusher duo and Lawrence and Parsons. Well, DeMarcus and Mike are 2 of the top, one of the top tandems in the league. I think, I've had so much respect for DeMarcus for a long time. He's kind of one of those underrated superstar rushers. I know that in coaching edge rushers, he's a guy that we've always watched. He's got, he's kind of like Joe. He's outstanding technician, can rush from either side. He can rush with speed or power. His hands are outstanding. And then I think, Micah has proven that he's one of the top players in the game. He's one of these guys that's definitely, risen to that level of being one of the top players in the league. And, he's one of these guys, a very complete player, run and pass. He's got an outstanding motor. And I think those guys is a tandem. And then they've got a lot of guys in the front, that can rush inside and outside. And that gives them a lot of flexibility in how they play.
Obviously, Dan, just when we talk about this game, I mean, the players, Keenan said it, Derwin said it, all these guys are saying it. They got embarrassed. They got embarrassed last Sunday. Yeah. They're expecting their best punch this weekend. Is that kind of what you expect too?
100%, because you have to get that taste out of your mouth, especially as much as Dallas has been hyped up this season. I think the biggest thing you're going to see in this game from both Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy is what I'm going to guess is that neither one is going to want to lose to the other. Does that make sense? So I expect, every form of trickery, every form of, whatever. I expect it to be very creative offensively this week. Or maybe, because I'll tell you right now, if I was Mike McCarthy, I would literally just say, hey, Tony Pollard, this is your game, dude. You're going to take it. And I would feed him. I would feed him about 20 times to really test the mettle of this defense, because I still don't think this defense is as good of a run defense as they maybe thought they were going to be this year with improvements and things like that. I think they've still struggled. And I think they really need to get back to, and this is just my opinion again, before people try and kill me, I think Dak Prescott, where he's successful, is the same way Jared Goff is successful. When the running game is going and you can get play action and things out of it, moving pockets and things like that. When you can start getting those misdirections, I think that's when Dak's the best. I don't really think as a drop back passer, he's had flashes and stuff like that, but I think it's better when the run game is going and it's not all on him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they need to get to, especially testing this defense. And the other thing I would say to the reporters' questions about watching the tape from San Francisco, stuff like that, like I'd be extremely careful watching that, because they're going up against a damn good defense, and the Cowboys are not going to see that this Sunday. And that's not me hating.
Monday.
That's not a Monday, whenever the hell the game is. That's not me hating. That's not me, making things up. That's just a statement of fact. Like it's not going to be the same type of defense. So you're really going to have to try and come up with solutions on how you can frustrate them with the personnel you have.
And the crazy part is that Tony Pollard hasn't been all that good. He's on the franchise tag. He hasn't been all that efficient this year. I mean, the one game that he had a really good game was the Cardinals game, 23 carries, 122. Everything else has been 70, 72, 47. Yeah. His last two games have been bad, 47, 29, 47 against the Patriots, 29 against the 49ers. So it's going to be interesting, because, I mean, the Chargers have they've given up some rushing there.
I still think, again, while you pull that up, I still think that's another one who's maybe, I know Zeke wasn't maybe as effective, but I think the threat of Zeke was enough, because he would go in there and bruise them, even if it was for 2 or 3 yard gains. And then when he came in, like, that really tired him out. And then it's like you can start getting them going side to side and gas them even further. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, when I say teams need 2 backs, those are the type of backs you need. You need one to punish them between the tackles, and you need another one to exhaust them outside of the tackle box. So I think maybe he's missing, because I don't think, from what I saw Sunday night, I don't think they really have like a second back like they like to have. Like,
no, they don't.
I think they're in a similar situation as the Chargers, where maybe they get guys rest, but no one's really kind of taken over.
They're in the middle of the pack, 104 yards a game.
The field.
Yeah, where they're not that good is against the pass. They're dead last.
Yeah,
299.8. Speaking of that, let's go to Brandon Staley now, and obviously we all know J.C. Jackson is no longer here. Michael Davis spoke the other day to the media, but I mean, obviously he's no longer what's name is no longer here.
Yeah, J.C. Jackson.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens now with the running game, because I mean, Michael Davis said, all I can really say is it's a little bit shaky the first 4 games of all of us in the DB room. I think now we're kind of just a little bit more locked in, because everything falls on me now. I feel like me and JC were kind of competing for the spot, competing to see who was starting every week. It was kind of like the unknown every week. So obviously,
throwing some shade, Frown, throwing some shade like a flag.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, that to me, like, because you're competing, that's what's making you feel shaky or whatever. Like, come on, dude, it's the men's league. Like, you're always competing for a spot, no matter who it is. And he's looked very shaky throughout this whole time. So I'll tell you one thing: if I was Mike McCarthy, that's exactly who one of the guys I'm a zero on, and send CeeDee Lamb his way and stuff like that, and see if he can get open and really challenge him.
Yeah, no, because Michael Davis hasn't looked good this season, but like he said, well, J.C. Jackson's kind of been there now that he can maybe play a little bit more free. So we'll see what that's like. But CeeDee Lamb has a lot of motivation this week, I'm sure, because
he's not happy about last week either. He got shut down, I'm pretty sure.
Not just that, but somebody came out
and said he was like a number 2 or something like that, right?
Yeah, that he's not a one, that he's not a Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman called him overrated and said that he's not a number 1. Yeah, he's not a number 1 receiver and everything. So they're going to be coming at him. So so that's going to be interesting. But let's just see what Brandon Staley had to say about the whole J.C. Jackson
Cheese Bay
stuff.
Cheese Bay?
Huh. First time we're talking to you since you guys made the trade, sending JC to New England. Just from your perspective, what went into that decision for you guys as an organization?
Yeah, we just felt like this was the best course for our team. There was a body of work to go off of, and felt like this direction what was best for our football team.
You had said throughout the spring, summer, even into the season, that was going to be a work in progress with JC coming back from the ruptured patellar tendon. I guess what changed as far as what you're saying over the summer, knowing it's going to take some time and then sort of making this move after 4 games?
Like I said, there's a body of work to go off of, 2 years worth of a body of work, and we just felt like this was the best course for our team.
When you say body of work, are you referring specifically to performance in the field, or is that
in all ways? Yeah.
Oof. So obviously there was that story that J.C. Jackson didn't want to go in.
Yeah.
When they tried to sub him in for Michael Davis, so it was just on the field, off the field, everything was just really a mess. JC kind of did take the high road, though. He was asked by NFL Network if he wanted to comment on what happened with the Chargers. He said no. He's moved on. He's now in New England. So, now he is no longer Charger. So it's going to be interesting to see how the secondary is tested this weekend. But you touched on it about Kellen Moore and everything. So we actually have video from the day that Kellen Moore was was fired at Cowboys. So,
how dare you? He wasn't fired. Mutually parted.
Oh, you motherfuckers. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when
That is glorious. If you have not seen the movie Training Day, to all the listeners, you are freaking missing out. How about this? Random, super random, drop your favorite Denzel movie in the comments. Let's go, dude. We'll read out the best ones.
I know Gilbert's is going to be Remember the Titans.
He is so terrible. That movie is so legendary, dude. I can't believe anyone can get tired of that movie. Denzel, like, for me, honestly, it's hard to pick between Training Day, Remember the Titans, and I loved him in American Gangster. In American Gangster, he was so good, dude. The guy's such a legend. Anyway, get in the comments. Best Denzel movie, go. Let's get back.
So obviously,
that was glorious.
Obviously, we all know that by now that Kellen Moore, Dan, was supposed to be groomed to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He had gone there as a quarterback. Then he's the quarterback's coach. Then he's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I thought the next move was once Mike McCarthy, and I know people are going to get, I know some people won't like this, but when Mike McCarthy ultimately fails, because we all know it's inevitable, Kellen Moore was
LaFleur and him will be together on that one.
He was supposed to take over as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and all of a sudden, breaking news happened, and they had fired him. And the Chargers, by that night, it was Sunday morning. By that Sunday night, the Chargers had already signed him as their OC. Brandon Staley obviously said that when they had the joint practice last year, that him and Kellen grew close, and that they would text each other, seeing how their season was going. And he brought him. Ultimately, Dan, it's helped. Last year, the Cowboys were one of the best teams in the second half at scoring points, moving the ball and everything. Now they're one of the worst. The Chargers last year were one of the worst. Now they're one of the best in the NFL. So that's the Kellen Moore effect. So obviously what Mike McCarthy said is that Kellen Moore doesn't run the ball, that he wants to throw down the field. He wants the big plays. That's not what I've seen so far, Dan, from these Charger games. They barely gone down the field all that much. So the interesting part is going to be if Kellen just rams it down their throat and runs the football all weekend or all Monday night until they can stop it. But I know Kellen's going to say that it's not personal, Mike McCarthy. Nah, this is personal. Like,
obviously. Hey, I see this. He's gonna be like Dion Frau. He's gonna roll up to the game with a bolt on his shirt, and it's gonna say it's personal.
Exactly. But what do you see from this?
100% it has to be personal. Everyone always talks about, and I am willing to bet this. Any Saban assistant, any Belichick assistant, they circle the time they play their former boss. 100%. There's no way. Right. Yeah. There's even a record where I think Saban had never lost to an assistant until maybe Kirby Smart a few years ago or something like that. I could be wrong. So obviously don't have a stroke in the comments. You 100% you circle whenever you play your former team. There's no way you don't, because you want to show that they got it wrong. And 100% when you play your former boss, you're going to want to take it to them, because in my mind, and honestly, when Jerry Jones was hiring Mike McCarthy or going through his process after Coach Clapper, he probably looked at Kellen and he was probably like, it's too young, doesn't have experience. I don't know how I feel about this, kind of, he likes him, but he's not sure yet if he's ready to take over. And 100%, I bet you when he hired Mike McCarthy, he said, you are not firing Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore staying on staff as the offensive coordinator. Everything else you can fill probably or something else. So Mike McCarthy, just for people to understand, like, there was probably already a butting of heads or whatever, because, a lot of head coaches, let's be real, they're human. Everybody has egos. When it's not your guy in there, sometimes you're going to feel that like level of distrust or whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's natural. Whenever a head coach gets hired, or, a boss or whatever you want, however you want to equate it, you want to put your own people in there, because those are the guys you're going to trust when it comes time to, the poopy hitting the fan or whatever else. So 100%, there's no way it's not personal, especially the way he kind of dug at him, where he was talking about, he just wants to be flashy going down the field. I just want him to run the damn ball and stuff like that. He made it seem like, he was a youngster who didn't know no better and didn't listen to his elder or something like that. So 100%, I am not buying anything other than it is personal. Like, that's why I'm saying he's really going to be motivated this week.
This is going to be the Chargers and the Cowboys pregame.
Oh my God. Is that with Iceland? It's Mighty Ducks, by the way.
It's a Mighty Ducks. It's when it's number one where they're kind of going.
Oh, they play Bombay's team.
Yeah, looking at each other and stuff.
Yeah,
but
100%. 100%. Because let me tell you something. I bet you anything.
Each team wants to win it for their guy.
Exactly. And on top of that, I bet you anything, Mike McCarthy's already pulled in Dan. I was about to say Dan Campbell. Shout out to the freaking young goat over there in Detroit. But he already pulled in Dan Quinn, and he probably told him, hey, you better bring the freaking heat, dude. I want this guy embarrassed.
No Van Der Esch.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, potentially, because
I thought Micah Parsons was banged up a little bit too, but it looks like he's going to go.
He hurt his ribs, but he's fine. I mean, the dude's young. He'll be fine.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna try and tell him, like, you better do whatever you can to figure this out, and you better bring the pressure on this guy, because he's gonna want to shut him down and make it look like. Because I'll tell you one thing, I honestly think whoever wins this game, and this is like going towards a reality TV and headlines type stuff, it's gonna say Kellen Moore outwits former boss Mike McCarthy or something like that, possibly, or Mike McCarthy, best the youngster or the Padawan, or however you want to frame it. That very easily could be a storyline, and none of those two guys are going to want to be the punchline.
I completely agree. But Dan, no Mike Williams. JC Jackson is now gone.
Yeah.
So is there anything happy for the Chargers? Yeah. Here comes Austin Ekeler.
Dean Portman is awarded a full athletic and academic scholarship to the Eden Hall Academy. I had this line around the house in Chicago. My attorney thought I should sign it. I agreed. It's official, boys. I'm back.
My God, you're on fire today, dude. You're on fire.
Dan, before we start doing what we usually do at the end, I just wanted to show you, speaking of Austin Ekeler, he was on RG3's podcast, and he was asked about Phillip Rivers having a big family. I don't know if you've seen this. It's pretty funny, Dan. I think even you'll get a kick out of this.
Right?
With him
Make
for
me
3
seem like a
years,
grim.
man. This man, he had his huge family. He has like 9 kids. He has 10 now. I first saw him, I thought they were doing a meet and greet. It was crazy.
Meet and greet. He's got so many kids to meet and greet.
Dude, does RG3 not look robotic though, low key?
Sometimes, like Russell Wilson. I mean, literally, like he was getting the crap beat out of him. He was throwing picks. He was doing all that against the Chiefs and
Team 3.
like,
Come on,
robotic.
guys.
You know,
Come
it's funny
on,
on the JB show. They were talking about. I mean, you know, JB's huge on marijuana and
Shout
that
out.
athletes shouldn't do it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Matt McChesney was like, I think Russell Wilson should smoke a little weed. Maybe that'll relax his ass. I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that is hilarious.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
By the way, Dan, there's a guy making the rounds right now, and that is your former right tackle, Storm Norton.
Whoa.
Dan, are you watching?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Watch him right here.
All right. The guy who
Look at that.
Oh my God, what are you talking about? He tripped over him.
Look at that. Watch him
Who are they
again.
playing?
The Houston Texans.
So now you're gonna tell me
he's against Will Anderson.
So now you're gonna tell me it was coaching the problem?
Watch him.
Where the hell was this guy against the Raiders, dude?
Look at that. Ooh.
All of a sudden, that can't be Storm Norton. You're joshing me
Storm
right now.
Norton. I promise you.
Get out of here.
That's Storm Norton.
He plays for the Falcons now?
Yeah.
Well, he looks a lot different, I'll tell you that.
Watch this. Here we go. 1-on-1.
Jesus name. Look at the patience. Where's the pig on skates I'm used to?
Look at that.
Wow. He must have a good offensive line coaching over there.
Maybe he has
That's crazy, dude.
Coach Dan and Daygo.
Look how different he looks, though. Like, that's why it's so funny. Like, yeah, coaching's overrated and everything because the players need to do it, and they're going to be the ones to figure it out. But it's crazy when you take the time to actually give instruction and be a teacher. Like, even for me at the high school level, how fast these kids pick it up, or how I'm sure the professionals pick it up, because, you know, it's just great. Like, you have to take some time. You still have to be a teacher, dude, and teach the proper fundamental techniques, because I think, unfortunately, sometimes these guys are just so big half the time. They just rely on their size and they let their technique go to Dewey. But if that is Storm Norton, dude, let me eat my words, even though it doesn't matter anymore because he's not in the Chargers. But he looked a lot different in that game. They were playing the Texans, you said?
Yep.
Wow. I don't know who that guy is. Might as well play the as I said, MacArthur. What's his name? McGregor. McGregor. Who the F is that guy, dude? Because I didn't recognize him, that's for sure.
All right. Fantasy player to watch this weekend, Dan.
I think it's going to be Tony Pollard. No, 100%. I think he's really going to, you know what? And that's what I'm saying too. Like, I think McCarthy's going to want to try and stick it to Kellen and win by running the football this Monday.
So it's going to be a quick game then, because I think both teams are going to run the ball. I'm going to go with
running clock.
CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be angry. I think he's hearing all the trash being talked about him. I think he's going to put up I think he's going to have a big game. I mean, you've seen they were able to do okay against Devontae, but that's because Aiden O'Connell was the quarterback. I mean,
yeah.
I think it would have been a little bit different. Who is your X factor?
The X factor, 100%. I'm going to pick Trey Pipkins, because I think I saw something that they supposedly want to get Micah Parsons off the ball more. But I think with someone like that, you know, with Pipkins, he's looked better, mind you, and more serviceable. But I think sometimes he has really strong or really hard time against guys who are more athletic and a little bit faster, because I think sometimes he has this habit of wanting to turn his shoulders early. And as an offensive tackle, when you turn your shoulders kind of early and don't try and wash, which is like just push them further away from the pocket, making it bigger. When you don't do that, you make the edge to get to the quarterback a lot smaller, right? So I think he's gonna have his hands full with that for sure, because I expect it to be like similar to Max Crosby in the sense that like he might try and get a 1 or 2 go at Slater as like an ego thing, and then he's gonna be like, okay, what am I wasting my time for? Let me go to Trey Pipkins and see if I can get anything over there. So I think he's gonna be the X factor.
I'm gonna go with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is gonna decide this game, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's gonna
That is a good one.
It's gonna depend on which Dak Prescott shows up.
Exactly.
But I think Dak Prescott is gonna be the X factor.
Is it the guy who does the friggin' salsa in his warm up, or is it the guy who's just sitting there on the what's it called, on the bench, looking like someone told him his puppy died?
Prediction?
I think I'm probably gonna get killed for this, but I think Dallas is gonna pull it out. I think they're gonna be extra motivated, and they're playing, and the Chargers are at home, so I think they're gonna be extra motivated. I think they're gonna be fired up. Yeah, and I don't know, man. Maybe it's the reverse jinx because I think I've not predicted any of these correctly. So
no, you did the Raiders.
Oh, I said they were going to win. Oh, but that doesn't
Yeah.
count. They weren't very good anyway. I'd be an idiot not to pick the Chargers in that one. But yeah, I think Dallas is going to come fired up. I think sometimes out of the bye week teams come out sluggish. So and I think the Chargers, I don't know, dude. Like I feel like they've had a lot of issues happen in the bye week with the JC Jackson stuff and things of that nature. So I think Dallas is gonna be tight. I think, but I think Dallas is gonna pull it out.
Last year, the Chargers or the Miami Dolphins played the San Francisco 49ers. Then they came to the Chargers and they lost both games. I think the same thing happens this year. I think the Chargers squeeze this one out. And I think that this is the game where one of those two guys steps up. It's either Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnston, but one of them I think is going to have a big game for the Chargers, and I think they pull it out. But Dan, I do real quick before we go. I already saw a preview of Justin Herbert's entrance this weekend. Are you ready for it?
All right, let's see it.
All right, I know you're going to be excited for this.
That's so badass. That's so badass, dude. I heard speaking of that, I heard that was the only good episode when Anakin's in it.
Well, we need to watch that episode. I don't really.
Other than that, Ahsoka was kind of ass, I heard. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But so you're going Chargers.
I'll say Chargers win. I think they need this one.
100%. I agree.
I think Dallas is in that downward spiral just because, Dan, they have the Chargers, then they have the Rams come into town, and they go to the Eagles. I think they go 1-2 in that stretch. One of these, they're going to go 1-2 in some form or capacity.
Yeah.
But as soon as everybody after week 2 or 3 was like, these guys are it, like after week 2.
No,
everybody's like,
anyone with a brain didn't believe that.
Everybody does every single year. Like everybody thinks that they're going to win the championship, that they're going to go to the Super Bowl, and then reality comes up and hits them in the face. So it's the truth. I mean,
yeah.
I tell your buddy, like, this is our year is like a mantra for these guys.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, I think one reason for sure, I think Dallas might pull it out is I think if they try and do some late 4th down call on their own 20 or whatever, I think Dallas would be the team to punch it in. I don't think the Vikings were very incompetent. I think
I don't think so.
Who else did they do? Oh, the Raiders for sure incompetent. I think Dallas would put it in.
I think Dallas is on the same thing as the Vikings.
I think
the Vikings have way better weapons.
I don't know.
Justin Jefferson's the best. Honestly,
I don't doubt that.
Dak and Kirk Cousins are exactly the same.
Yeah.
But then I look at the weapons. I would rather have Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and KJ Osborne than I would Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. The only thing that I'll give you is that the Cowboys have a better offensive line when healthy.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I mean, I think I'd take the Vikings over them. But I'm not giving the Chargers any excuses or anything. I'm just saying, like, I think the Vikings and the Cowboys are pretty similar. And then coaching, one's a rookie, the other one, he's a second-year coach. The other one's been in for years, but he makes rookie mistakes. I'm talking about Mike McCarthy. He makes rookie mistakes still. So, yeah, I think Mike McCarthy thought to himself, you know what? I need to get back to what I know. When we were winning in Green Bay, it was because I was a signal caller. I was the one doing everything. Well, dude, it ain't working now. You lost to the Cardinals. You lost to the 49ers, and now, again, you're on the road. I think you're going to lose this road game, and your seat's going to start getting a little hot. So I'm wondering, like, because I don't have the Cowboys making the playoffs. I don't think they'll sneak in. I just think they're a bad football team. I don't think they have – I mean, they have some players, but I just don't think they're a team. That's the thing I don't think that they are. I don't think they're a team.
Yeah.
So
are we going to see Trey Lance at some point from?
No, I don't think so. I think they're gonna. But I'm interested if Mike McCarthy gets fired after the year. Who would want to go take that job? I mean, you've seen what Wade Phillips kind of had. Bill Parcells had a mind of its own by Wade Phillips. A little bit of there was give and take by. Was Coach Clapp after that? No, there was somebody between Wade Phillips, wasn't there?
I thought it was Coach Clapper. Coach Clapper was there for like 12 years, dude.
No, I know.
I think it was, dude. I think it had to have been Coach Clapp after that. Coach Clapper.
Oh, yeah, it was Wade Phillips till 2010. Then Coach Clapp took over. Wow, Wade Phillips, 60% winning percentage. Jason Garrett, 55.6. Bill Parcells, 53.1.
He's like a son to me. You know what would happen?
And he fired Coach Clapp too.
Yeah. You know what would happen if you shit can McCarthy? He'd be like, Jerry Jones would be like,
I'm going to be the head coach now.
Son, I know I fired you, but I was thinking about it in the shower. I need you to come back to Dallas. That's what he's going to do. Kellen, come on home. Come on home, Kellen.
I wonder if Kellen would take that job, but we appreciate you folks so much for jumping on with us with all of our tomfoolery.
Exactly.
We appreciate you guys for jumping on. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to check out everything else on the Compas on the Beat network. Don't forget to get it's hoodie season. Make sure y'all get a hoodie.
Compas on the Beat shop.com.
Exactly. Make sure you guys get a hoodie. Rock it, take a picture, send it to us, and who knows? And don't forget, once we get to 1,000 subscribers here on What's Up,
oh my God,
one lucky viewer or
get out of here, dude.
Will be going to lunch with Dan and Daygo. So,
I am not that interesting.
Yes, he is. Make sure there's people ask for you all the time.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Eric, Jeff asked me the other day. He's like, "Hey, when am I going to see my guy?" And I'm like, as soon as the football season's over, he's like, well, I hope he wins and goes all the way, but I can't wait to see him. And I was like, I'll let him know. So you are missed. But again, we appreciate you guys so much. Have a great weekend. Don't forget Monday Night Football. As soon as the game is over, once I'm back from the locker room, Dan and Daygo and I will jump on and we will have the podcast out that night. So make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you guys are ready because it'll be a good one. So thank you guys so much. Have a good weekend and we'll be back on Monday night. So be a compa, tell a compa. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.